As the media fixate on sideshows that'll have zero impact on American lives, things like the Manafort verdict or Stormy Daniels' latest squall, or even recently the issue with the flag going up or down, half-mast, full-mast, Trump is methodically fulfilling his campaign promises. And today, he delivered on a huge one, announcing a new trade deal between Mexico and the United States. Now, remember what he said during the campaign.
I'm going to tell our NAFTA partners that I intend to immediately renegotiate the terms of that agreement to get a better deal by a lot, not just a little, by a lot for our workers. A Trump administration will end that war by getting a fair deal for the American people and the American worker. The era of economic surrender will finally be over.
And boy, is it. Today's agreement makes critical changes to U.S.-Mexico trade. Among them, 75% of auto parts will be produced in North America. That's up from 62.5%, any vehicle coming into the United States. And 40 to 45% of auto parts will be made by workers earning at least $16 an hour. Good stuff. The deal also strengthens intellectual property and financial services trade protections, also improves the trade of digital products. From the start, though, there were those who said it couldn't be done. Trump can't do it. It's all a bunch of bluster. And when Trump raised the ante, threatening to impose new tough tariffs on Mexico and Canada, the reaction was apocalyptic.
We're in the nascent stages of a full-scale trade war, and the president simply seems to want to escalate.
It's not just my state that is involved here, it's our nation. It has significant consequences for us here at home, not only just economically, but politically.
If you alienate Mexico over the wall and over NAFTA, what you end up doing is electing this summer a much more nationalistic, much more radical Mexican president who will not cooperate.
Well, it turns out old Almo is on board with what they discussed. Now, just like the moving of the U.S. Embassy to Jerusalem, the renegotiation of the trade deal with South Korea, and Trump standing up to China, the so-called experts have consistently gotten it wrong, underestimating Trump. You see, the president has his own team of real experts. These are people from outside the old globalist trade establishment who were responsible, frankly, for those complicated multilateral deals that hurt the American worker and destroyed American industries. From the start, members of Trump's team, like Jared Kushner and U.S. Trade Rep Bob Lighthizer, were committed to leveling the playing field and creating reciprocity between nations. That means fair deals that will allow all parties to prosper. Isn't that what we want? And the bilateral deals, country to country, may indeed end up being the most enforceable and the most beneficial for all. Both the current and the soon-to-be Mexican presidents see the wisdom of bilateral arrangements with the United States. Now, they'd like Canada to be part of it, but if not, they're not going to sabotage it. This is what Trump touted today.
They used to call it NAFTA. We're going to call it the United States-Mexico Trade Agreement. We'll get rid of the name NAFTA. It has a bad connotation because the United States was hurt very badly by NAFTA for many years, and now it's a really good deal for both countries, and we look very much forward to it.
Now it's up to Canada, which is sending a rep to Washington tomorrow to either sign on to the Mexico deal, or I guess try to fashion its own bilateral deal with the United States down the road.
We will see whether or not we decide to put up Canada or just do a separate deal with Canada if they want to make the deal. The simplest deal is more or less already made.
Now, in the meantime, Trump is moving forward. And as I said, why should Mexico and the United States allow their trade relationship to be held hostage to domestic politics in Canada? And, of course, Trudeau's stonewalling. The strides made after a year of negotiations are really impressive. And any objective observer, if there is any of those left, would admit that tonight. And by the way, this is going to set the benchmark for any future deals in this hemisphere. Now, if the reaction of the stock market is any indication, which surged in reaction to today's news, Congress should fast-track the U.S.-Mexican trade agreement and keep the Trump economy humming. And that's the angle.